Is it normal to hate everything that's really successful? This song here, for example, do you hate it? Even though it was released over 30 years ago, it's still one of the top 200 most played songs daily on Spotify. Despite that, even the composers themselves can't stand listening to it anymore and say that every time they have to sing it, they feel like throwing up. But if this song is so hated, how did it become so popular, and what does it really mean? Today I'm going to tell you the true story behind Wonderwall by Oasis. I'm Guilherme, and you're watching Decipher Hits. Released in 1995 on the second album by the band Oasis, what's the story? Morning Glory. The song Wonderwall became one of the biggest anthems of the 90s and the band's greatest hit to this day. To give you an idea of how big this song is, in 2020, Brian Monaco, president of Marvel, the one from Sony, mentioned that Wonderwall was still their most profitable track. And keep in mind, I'm talking about a company that owns the music catalog of giants like the Beatles, Queen, and even Michael Jackson. In other words, the success of this song is undeniably colossal. But despite having billions of fans, over the years, Wonderwall has also accumulated countless haters. People who can't stand listening to it anymore, including the very guys who wrote the song. Regardless of what anyone might think, the fact is that a hit of this size deserves to be studied and thoroughly understood. And to really understand the Wonderwall phenomenon, we're going to need to go back a little in time. In the early 1990s in the United Kingdom, a new generation of bands began to emerge whose main influence was 60s rock, and who decided to revive that golden era of British music. This was the Britpop movement, labeled that way for bringing alternative rock that was more optimistic and confident, contrasting with the dark and depressive atmosphere of grunge that was popular in the United States. It was from this Britpop wave that bands like Pulp, Blur, Swede, and of course Oasis were born. The band, led by the brothers Noel and Liam Gallagher, reached stardom with their first album, Definitely Maybe, from 1994, bringing hits like Supersonic, Live Forever, and Cigarettes and Alcohol. The album shot to the top of the charts in its first week, making Oasis the UK's favorite new band right from their debut. However, along with the success, the first fights began, which almost ended the band right then and there. It turns out that because of their extremely conflicting personalities, brothers Noel and Liam had a very complicated relationship, and during Oasis's first tour, they had several fights and threatened to break up. But after a year on the road, which was quite turbulent by the way, the brothers made up again and agreed to move forward with the production of the band's second album, What's the Story? Morning Glory, the album that made Oasis break out of the UK bubble and really become a worldwide phenomenon, largely thanks to the theme song of this video. Wonderwall was born on a rainy afternoon in November 1994 at Rockfield Studio in Wales, when Noel Gallagher decided to put into a song how complicated his relationship was becoming with interior designer Meg Matthews, his then-girlfriend. As expected, Noel's work didn't allow him to spend much time with Meg. We have a normal relationship. I met her at Christmas, so I've always been a pop star since I met her. At this moment, I finally have some free time between rehearsals. While I'm rehearsing, she's working. When we get home, we just sit down and have some drinks, Noel told NME magazine. Meg had started her own fashion company, but at the time, she was having trouble managing the finances, and her business ended up going bankrupt. Because of that, Meg found herself overwhelmed by feelings of failure and depression. From then on, Noel tried everything he could to cheer her up, and when he saw it wasn't working, he decided to write the song that would eventually become Wonderwall. The idea behind the song is that there was no point in her being sad. She has to organize my life because I'm a mess half the time, Noel said. The relationship between Noel and Meg lasted for several years. They even got married in 1997 and had a daughter together in 2000. However, the marriage did not have a happy ending. After a turbulent period of fights and disagreements, they got divorced in 2001. Interestingly, after the divorce, Noel completely changed his version of the story about Wonderwall, starting to say that the song was actually about an imaginary friend. In a 2002 interview, Noel said, "The meaning of that song was stolen from me by the media, who went along with it. And how do you tell your wife that it's not about her after she reads what it is? Wonderwall is a song about an imaginary friend who's going to come and save you from yourself." And maybe you're the one who's going to save me. After all, you are my Wonderwall. So what's the real meaning of this song? Well, to find that out, we can start with the title, which actually wasn't even Wonderwall, but Wishing Stone, the Stone of Wishes.
One night after a show, a fan put this thing in my hand, closed it, and said seriously, "This is your wishing stone." And I said, "Oh, really?" And she said, "You should write a song about it." And I said, "Okay, can you let go of my hand now?" For a long time, Wonderwall was called Wishing Stone, but I thought, this is kind of weird, I don't know.
Noel has already said in interviews that the songs that work out best are the ones that aren't planned. They just come to him instantly, like a stream of consciousness. That was exactly the case with Wonderwall, or rather, Wishing Stone. The lyrics and melody of the chorus came easily to Noel's mind in just a few seconds. But with that title, Wishing Stone, the chorus didn't sound good at all. And after all, you're my wishing stone. He didn't like it, you know? But everything changed after he saw a certain poster at home.
So I wrote this song called Wishing Stone, but it didn't sound good. And I had a poster of the movie Wonderwall on the stairway wall in my house. And as I was going down the stairs one afternoon, I was humming the song, and there was the word Wonderwall, and I thought, that's it.
But then, what the hell does the word Wonderwall mean? So, Wonderwall is a word that doesn't exist in the dictionary. If you translate it literally, it becomes something weird, like the Wall of Wonders. But if you look at the context, this translation starts to make sense and ties in closely with the song. The poster that Noel was referring to is the poster for the 1968 movie Wonderwall. It's a psychedelic feature film about a guy who lived in an apartment where there was a hole in the wall, through which this man would spy on his young neighbor during her intimate moments. The man called that wall the Wonderwall, the Wall of Wonders. Yeah, it's bizarre, right? But putting the disturbing part aside, the concept starts to make more sense. On one side of the wall, the world is dark, gloomy, lifeless, while on the other side there's light, life, and beauty. The meaning becomes clearer when we realize that the Wonderwall is nothing more than this small window, through which someone trapped in a monotonous existence can catch a glimpse of beauty and the joy of living. This glimpse can be found in someone, in a life goal, or even in a thought. Interestingly, the soundtrack for the movie Wonderwall was created by George Harrison from the Beatles, one of Noel's greatest idols. And we can also see some meaning and connection, not only in the cover of George Harrison's album, but also in the artwork that was inspired by him, the cover of the Wonderwall single itself. When Noel asked for the cover to be made, he requested a beautiful woman to be placed in the frame. But the photographer, Michael Spencer Jones, thought that Noel's brother, Liam Gallagher, would be a better choice. Liam liked the idea, and while he was posing for the photos in a public park in Primrose Hill, London, a black cab suddenly braked in front of the square. It was Noel Gallagher, furious and shouting.
Wonderwall is a love song. It's about a woman. I know it well. I wrote it. There's no way that kid is going to be on the damn cover.
That's when they changed their minds and decided to use a record label employee, Anita Hyatt, who is the one we see in the final version. The photo was taken on black and white infrared film to give that surreal effect inspired by the painter Rene Magritte. The process of composing Wonderwall was also quite interesting. It started with Noel strumming some major chords on his guitar, but feeling that it didn't mean anything.
I had those chords for a long time. These are just major chords. To me, it wasn't anything special.
Until he simply decided to keep his third finger fixed on the strings. And that's how one of the most famous riffs in history was born.
So I started to leave my third finger here. And everything came to life.
At first, Noel planned to record Wonderwall sitting on top of a 3-meter-high wall outside Rockfield Studios in Wales. The idea seemed good because it reflected the atmosphere of the song. But with the wind, the cold, and the sheep in the field next door, everything ended up going very wrong.
This is the wall I sat on that day. I looked like an idiot playing Wonderwall. There used to be sheep there, right? I remember some sheep watching me play Wonderwall. I'm not sure who was more scared, me or them.
Unfortunately, they ended up discarding that version. However, a small part of it was preserved and can be heard right at the beginning of the album. You can even hear the birds. But if you know the song well, you might be wondering, well, if it was Noel who had the idea, wrote it, and decided everything, why is Liam the one singing in the final version? So what happened was that Noel was unsure whether to record the vocals for Wonderwall or Don't Look Back in Anger. So he asked Leon to choose one of the two. Leon chose Wonderwall, and Noel ended up recording the other song, which also became one of Oasis's biggest hits. And while Noel thought his voice on Wonderwall was sounding rather monotonous, when Leon took over the vocals, he was finally able to bring out the full potential that the song really had.
Today is gonna be the day that they're gonna throw it back to you.
But after all, what exactly made Wonderwall so incredibly popular? Well, I would say that a big part of the song's success is precisely due to its simplicity. The track is composed with a soft drum pattern by drummer Alan White. A Mellotron keyboard that simulates an orchestra, played by Bonhead. Naturally, the classic acoustic guitar riff. This riff is made up of just 4 chords, very simple, that any beginner can learn and play on the guitar with ease. Because of this, the riff became such a popular phenomenon that, in a 2002 interview, Noel Gallagher said he once saw a sign in a guitar shop in Manchester that said, "Do not play Wonderwall." Besides that, the riff ended up inspiring many other bands, with the most classic example being the famous song Boulevard of Broken Dreams by Green Day, released in 2004. They made a mashup of both songs on YouTube, and it worked well. In a 2006 interview, Noel Gallagher took a jab at Green Day, saying, "If you listen, you'll see it's exactly the same arrangement as Wonderwall. They should have the decency to wait for me to die before stealing my songs." Well, at least he doesn't know the kank here in Brazil, right? Anyway, as soon as it was released, Oasis's second album sold over 345,000 copies just in the first week, spending 10 weeks on the UK top album charts. It was also thanks to it that the band managed to conquer the United States market, reaching 4th place on the Billboard 200 and earning 4 platinum records. All of this, as I said, was largely due to the album's biggest hit, Wonderwall. But the success started to take its toll. Starting in 1995, at every show, every event, and everywhere Oasis went, people would ask them to play Wonderwall, and the band soon started to get really fed up with that song. In a 2008 interview, Noel said the following, "Wonderwall is one of the songs I like the least. If I could go back in time, I would probably choose another song to be our calling card." Probably some might say, the fact that Wonderwall became a worldwide phenomenon is crazy. It doesn't make any sense. Ironically, that's one of the few things the Gallagher brothers agree on. I can't stand this damn song anymore. Every time I have to sing it, it makes me want to throw up. The problem is that it was a huge hit for us, said Liam Gallagher in 2008. There's no way around it, man. When a rock band decides to make a poppier, simpler sound that they don't like, that's exactly the sound that becomes a hit and turns into the song the band is most known for worldwide. And then, my friend, there's no point in complaining. It's even worse if the song comes from trauma so painful you'd rather forget, because then it's over. At every show, the audience will make a point of singing out loud the words that hurt you the most. That's exactly what happened to the lead singer Tom York from the band Radiohead when he created the song Creep. I've already told this whole story in the video that's popping up here above. Just click to watch. Thank you so much for your company, and I'll see you there.